Well, hello there. Welcome to the Canine Oasis podcast. This is our episode number 3. My name is Jonathan, and I'm glad you're here. So, here at the Canine Oasis, our mission is to help dogs have happier, more fulfilled lives, increase the strength of their bond with their humans, keep them out of shelters, or if they are in shelters, help them have a better quality of life while they are there. That goes for rescues as well. And keep them from getting euthanized. Save as many as we can from that. And so that's kind of what I wanted to focus on today is how we can achieve those goals. And this really has come up a lot lately for me, talking to people about. I guess what got the burn under my saddle initially was talking to some people who are very anti-pit bull, bully, staffy breeds, and feel like they're all killers, feel like they all should die. Some of these people I talk to are actually dog trainers, which to me that's pretty disgusting. I mean, could you imagine me being a nurse if I felt like, hey, there's some people that just should die? And I guess a better comparison or analogy was if there's a certain race or certain religion that you wanted to die. Obviously, it's unacceptable. And to generalize with people is a little bit easier to understand, but for some reason, there's a lot of people, and I know the media misidentifies a lot of dogs involved in attacks and things like that as bully breeds. They definitely have a narrative that they're pushing. It's just so sad to see how many people buy into it. And sure, there's some that have a very bad drive. I know a lot of dogs, pit bulls in particular, are used by and have been used by dog fighting people. But it's what they're taught. It's how they're raised, and that's not to negate. Obviously, each breed of dog has specific drives and interests and things like that. And it's a generalization. You can use generalizations to help kind of just get an idea and be aware of things like that, but it doesn't completely define somebody or even a dog. And then from there, I think something that we could do better at doing is recognizing that dogs have different personalities and different likes and dislikes. And for some reason, a lot of us feel this urge to maybe we derive our value from being a dog mom or dad from the idea of our dog being that quintessential perfect dog that gets along with and plays well with all other dogs, is polite and kind and excited to meet all different people. And that's just not true. I mean, some of them don't like men, some of them don't like women, some of them don't like little kids or certain other breeds. I know Chongo, my guy, early on when I got him, I would take him to the dog park because at the time I felt like that was a great thing to do for socialization. But his socialization a couple times was this 3-legged German Shepherd that I think took issue with the fact that he had not been altered yet, Chongo, but the Shepherd was. And he just bullied him and he bit him a couple times and it freaked him out. And for a while, if he saw a German Shepherd, he immediately was turned off and didn't want anything to do with that dog. But he's since learned, played with a couple that are great and kind of will give a dog a chance, but he's definitely not as like socially driven towards dogs as he was. A lot of times now he gets excited, wants to check them out, and then he's kind of done. He'd rather hang out with the people or just go sniff things. Very cell driven. Sorry, I feel like I look weird leaning over to the microphone, but still figuring all this stuff out. So yeah, anyways, back to dogs. A lot of just pity hate, and it makes me sad because I've known so many just absolutely loving, caring, docile pits. And I mean, just I love their smile, I love their loyalty. And so the idea that a breed should just be killed is disgusting to me. I don't like that at all. And it's not just pits though, it's a lot of them. I mean, you learn about shelters and things like that, that black dogs tend to get overlooked for whatever reason. I don't know if it's like a scary thing or what, but people don't tend to want black dogs. And so they're often last to get adopted and rescued and stuff like that, which puts them at higher risk to be euthanized. So what can we do about this? I think a big part of it starts with that bond, and how do we establish that and strengthen that? So if you're considering getting a dog, getting a puppy, I think that you as an individual, me as an individual, I tried to do this. I didn't do it as well as I could have, but we need to do better at helping people understand that you got to do some research. Don't get something just because it's cute. I know talked to a couple trainers that have been having a lot of issues with Malinois lately because these ladies see them perform. So these are like elite athlete Malinois with elite level handlers, and they see all this amazing stuff they can do and train for protection work. And so these girls are like, I want a dog that's that obedient and that fun and that impressive. And not just girls. Sorry for picking on that. That's just what has been shared with me a couple times. But I know of guys that have done this too, and because it seems cool to have that dog, or it seems cool to have one that looks cute, and that a lot of your friends have healers and cattle dogs and stuff like that. And then problems start to arise because we didn't really understand that a cattle dog wants to herd. It wants to chase stuff around. It wants to help direct and guide. And so it might literally nip at your heels. And that can frighten people. And like, they don't like the way that happens. So they toss them in the shelter. And there's been just a rash of people here in the Phoenix area that I've read about taking their dogs to shelters. Part of that responsibility of getting a dog is really understanding what it takes, to just have a dog hanging out in the yard, hanging out in the house. To me, it's wrong. And I know everybody's got their different ways that they live their life and values and things like that. But a dog needs to walk. A dog needs to play. A dog needs engagement and interaction. And if you can't handle that, if you can't provide for those needs, then don't get one. And especially don't get a high drive working dog that has exponentially greater needs. So one story from this week is a family that has 3 dogs and some kids, and then mom's going to grad school. So they took the oldest dog to the shelter because they had her only 4 years compared to the others that they had longer, or however long it was. And to me, it's just disgusting, I mean, I've ever wanted to take one of my kids and drop them off at the shelter, but that's just momentary, I have a dedication to my kids, I have a dedication to my dogs, and a responsibility to them to provide for them and provide for their needs, and not just basic survival, but I feel I have a responsibility to give them a good life. So understanding the breeds and their different drives and needs. I mean, you get a super athletic dog and you better be working them. We hear tons of stories of Malinois and German Shepherds and Pitties. And I mean, really any dog can be this way, but they're not getting that engagement, physical and mental. And so, let them roam the house, go somewhere, come back, and the table leg is just chewed up, or a wall's been torn apart, or a door, or whatever. And so take that into consideration, be responsible. And I think a lot of us know that, and we do that. I think we could do a better job helping other people understand that, and which is hard to do sometimes. People aren't asking for advice, and you give it. That's never fun. So research your breed, research your lifestyle, find a breed and a dog that fits with your lifestyle. So let's start there. For me, I got my dog because I wanted a retriever. I wanted a hunting buddy. I love quail hunting and hiking around in the desert and seeing the wildlife and stuff. And And it really messes with my heart if I shoot a bird and I can't find it. So having something with a better nose and better eyes than mine, who could pull them out of a bush or whatever and retrieve them so that we can eat it and make that a worthwhile exchange for life. But he's not super interested in retrieving, but he loves smelling. And so I've started working on some scent work, talking to the trainer that I've hired who's come and worked with us, and then a few others I've networked with on TikTok, and asking them what they would do. And so we do that. I have a little bag that I put cloves in, and we started by just having them smell it and giving them a treat, and have them smell it and give them a treat. And didn't take very long, like maybe 12 reps. And then he's actually touching it to indicate, yep, I got this. Now give me my food. So we did that, and then I started moving it around. So he had to move a little bit to touch it, left, right, up, down. And, he loved it. He was excited. And now what we're doing is I'm hiding it different places. So I'll have him sit in the kitchen, stay, or downstay, and then I'll go down the hallway or in the living room or whatever and hide it somewhere. And then I tell him to find it. And so he sniffs around. Sometimes he's just right on it. Other times it takes him a while, but he loves it. And that's a unique interest that he has that I'm trying to address and satisfy. Unique qualities and interests and drives of each dog. Learn about them. Figure out what your dog is needing and provide that need. One of the needs that is universal is communication and obedience. So having some basic obedience and manners is imperative. I mean, it drives me nuts to hear stories of people who are like, yeah, this dog just isn't that well behaved, and we're having family come for the holidays, so we're going to take him to the shelter because he doesn't behave. And my question is, how many hours have you put in? I try to work with Chongo morning and night, or if it's a morning I'm sleeping in because I don't work or something like that, my wife walks him, and we try to do walking at least once a day, and then a training session at least once a day. And days that I'm home, I like to do, 5, 6, 7 sessions, just 5 to 10 minutes to work on him. And, I wasn't doing a great job with it. I got a little bit lazy about it. And I just started noticing that we were having some minor issues. I just knew Chongo wasn't getting everything he needed. And I knew as his owner, I was frustrated, not knowing exactly what to do, not getting the best results from the efforts that I was putting in. So I hired a trainer. And I tell you, it took me a year to make that decision because of the price and the cost. But then I thought, if I were to go take a class or something at like a trade school or a community college or something, I'm looking at hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars. So if I'm willing to do that for my own education or enrichment, then why not do that for my dog? And it's super worth it. He's doing so much better. It's helped with his reactivity. It's helped with his manners and his behavior and meeting people and socialization. And it's increased our bond to where, like, I'm his guy. He loves me. He follows me around. He's excited when I get home. Like all that stuff that you equate with the love of a dog. In my experience, it just gets so much better when you have that obedience down. I guess a little aspect of that we'll probably address in the future when we talk to some trainers and stuff is the babying. Man, we love our dogs. We love to put little outfits on them. Not everybody, but a lot of people. I've seen dogs in strollers getting walked and stuff like that, but just understanding that that's a selfish need. That's something you like because it's cute. It's something I like because it's a fun picture to post online or whatever, but the dog absolutely does not need that. And so we need to make sure that, that stuff doesn't have to be off the table, but at the very least, it needs to be balanced with meeting the dog's actual needs. So know your breed, know your individual dog, work on training, work on fulfilling their needs. Health. I know there's been a lot of senior dogs that get dumped off and they find that they have some serious medical issues, and so they're going to get euthanized often. And the timing of it just makes you wonder, did the people get that diagnosis and they didn't want to deal with the work, the care, the cost of medical care and stuff like that, so they just take it to the shelter? I don't get it. Look into insurance, find some way, find a good vet, do preventative stuff, do what you can, but just understanding that they don't live as long as us. And they give you some good times. They give you so much love and affection and goofiness and whatever. And it's our job to pay that back by taking care of them when they start falling apart. And I mean, just how sad is it that a dog that's slowing down and having problems, that more than ever wants you to be there for them, and then they get dumped into a shelter where it's crazy, it's loud, it's scary, and then possibly getting euthanized and dying. It's sad. So there's a lot of research out there. There's a lot of disagreement, but I think something we can all agree based on human health and just health in general is exercise is super important. Good nutrition is super important. And preventative stuff, just addressing things before they become a problem is going to go a long way. Got a couple of dog walking buddies in the neighborhood that have elderly dogs that are fantastically healthy, and it's because they've fed them clean and they've walked them miles every day. Not everybody has that kind of time, but doing what you can, and that helps with your bonding as well. So what else? I think something that I want to do on this podcast. So I bought my dog from a breeder. I wanted the purebred. I was worried about going to a shelter and not knowing what I was getting. All those reasons that people do. And so I got him from a breeder, and it's a responsible, good breeder that's doing a lot to keep the Labrador genetics strong and healthy. And, they're very invested in that. And after getting him and after learning about just the plight of dogs and how many are in shelters and being euthanized, and there's a local friend on the app next door that she'll post all the dogs that are on the E-list and things like that. And it's not uncommon for our local shelter to euthanize 20 to 30 dogs in a week. And so why is this happening? Why is there so many? So seeing that, I started to think about that need. And then I swung over to the camp of don't shop, adopt, right? And that's a good thing, but that's not what everybody wants or needs. If you're spending tens of thousands of dollars to train a Malinois or something like that, like you want to make sure you're getting a proven line to increase your chances of having the end result that you want. Like there's certain reasons, and there's breeders, even for some of the more fun reasons, there's some breeders that are doing it right. There's a lot that aren't. They're running puppy mills, backyard breeders, and stuff like that. And that's a separate issue that we need to address and figure out what to do about that. But if you're going to buy, please don't buy from a pet store. Find a breeder, do some research, make sure that they're reputable, that they're doing things right. I would hate to know that I supported somebody who's just using up some mama dog, just having her pregnant 80% of her life, and then dumping her when she's not churning out big litters anymore. And I don't want to contribute to something like that, and most of us don't. But I think we need to be aware of that. And if you're in the adopt, don't shop camp, man, don't lay into somebody like me who got someone from a breeder. That's just going to make you defensive. It creates divisiveness. And now there's this animosity between us that makes it harder to work together. So let's work together. Make sure that whatever venue you go through, that you're doing your research, you're figuring things out. Recently learned on a podcast that a lot of rescues are actually fronts for puppy mills. And I don't know what the percentage of them is, but the lady that she's basically made a career out of getting puppy mills shut down and seen some horrible, horrible stuff. She said, really be cautious with rescues. Go, maybe volunteer there, vet them, make sure that you're supporting a good rescue. And I love when I see people, there's a post about a dog that needs help, needs medical care or something like that. And you'll see people just left and right, pledge $10, I pledge $100, pledge $50. Make sure if you're pledging and sending money that it's going to a good place that's going to do the right things with it, not just pad some scumbag's pockets. For our pets, if you're not a breeder or whatever, there's some controversy about fixing animals, when to do it, spay and neuter. But especially if it's an outside dog, especially if there's any chance of them getting out, we got to spay and neuter dogs, strays, things like that. Maybe support veterinarian that does spay clinics and neuter clinics and try to help that way. Training, lifestyle, we talked about all that. Rehoming, if you're aware of a need to rehome. One thing I learned recently is that people who do dog fighting, they look for free dogs on Facebook Marketplace or I'm blanking on the other one. It's like an ad. Anyways, I'm blanking on it. So any like online service or even local papers or whatever, if they're free, they'll go get them and use them as bait dogs. And so they end up messed up and back in the shelters with injuries and medical problems that now make it harder for a family to want to rescue them. So go ahead and charge a rehoming fee. And even if you list it that way and you meet a family, find a good home for the dog, and you can renege on that and say, hey, you can actually have them for free or lower the fee or whatever it is. But at least list it in the beginning to try to dissuade like dog fighters and people like that from coming and getting them. So, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot more. These solo episodes, I have an outline and then I get rambling about something. And I'm talking funny because everybody's asleep. This is just when I've been finding the time to do these, is later at night. So I apologize for that. It's a work in progress, but it's interesting. Like you get the ball moving on something like this. This is something that today I'm nervous again, like the first time where I'm almost like out of breath as I'm talking, because I want to do a good job and I want to make a difference. But what's interesting is just starting and letting people in my life know that I'm working on a podcast. Like already, my mother-in-law texted me this morning and said, hey, I got someone you need to talk to. And turns out it's a cousin of my wife who has an animal rescue, not just dogs, but all different kinds. And she's thinking about starting a podcast. And so that's somebody that just talking about her reminded me I need to email her tonight. But that's cool. Like things just start happening, and that makes me feel like it is right that I am doing something good, and eventually, hopefully, I get good at it. If you listen to me for these 20 minutes or so, I really appreciate you. I love you. Let's do some good for dogs. So go ahead and subscribe, like, share these podcasts. Find us on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. YouTube, and share, like, subscribe there too. It makes a difference. And just knowing that it's good people. I've had a little burst lately of people who are just running numbers and asking for money so they can run you through their mill of getting a bunch of followers and likes that aren't necessarily people who are invested. They're just also basically it's like a marketing agency. So I'd rather have people like you. If you're listening to this, you obviously care about dogs. So I love to have my following be filled with people like that. And then I, in return, get to follow good things that people like that are doing. So it makes a difference. So let's make a difference one life at a time, whether that's human or canine, and improve the world a little bit at a time. So thanks for being here with me. If you have ideas, questions that you want us to talk about, guests you think I should have on, please get in touch. You can find me on all the social medias, like I said, or email me at jonathan@thecanineoasis.com. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.